How many flags? We have the American flag over here on this side.
Oh, the back? The back? Come on, bro.
Where? Right here?
Right by here.
No problem.
Right by here.
Once again, let's do Dr.the Rocking Chain Entertainment.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Brooklyn College Auditorium, Walt Whitman Hall. And today, regardless of where you're from, regardless of color, creed, or class, tonight, we are all Grenadians. Yeah. So all the Grenadians in the house, make some noise. Well, we're going to celebrate, and we're going to keep moving forward. Tri-Island State, Grenada, Carriacou, and Piedmont, we thank you for coming out, and you know why we're here. We do really be angel. Our Prime Minister is on his way. But you know, you're listening to all the patriotic songs from Grenada, and we've said, you know, you need some entertainment. Let's liven up the place. Let's spice up the place. That's right. You ready to spice it up? Yeah! All right, now we're going to have the official opening in just a moment. But we also got to move ahead with our entertainers who are here. So we decided to give you the entertainment, so by the time the Prime Minister comes, we can get straight into this evening's ceremony. First of all, permit me to introduce myself. Maybe it's a long time. Some of you hearing this voice for the first time. Probably some people, you know, knew the voice from WLIB days. Well, my name is the Spice Man Bob Frederick. Hey. And let me tell you this. You know, we're still keeping the tradition alive on 87.7 every weekend at 93.5. We'll tell you more about that, but let's get busy into the culture. Former New York Independence Calypso King, versatile entertainer, singer, songwriter, from the Firehouse Calypso tent here in New York, always promoting Grenada's culture, the music, and doing so much. Recently he lost his beloved brother, but I know he'll keep the fire burning and keep the flame burning. Let's welcome on stage the one and only Val Adams. He said, take a bow, take a bow.
Good evening, everyone. Grenadians in the house. Grenadians in the house. It's too short a time in the introduction for me to say good evening to everybody. It's a nice evening. We had good weather, good temperature, and some. How are you, sir? Nice. Very impromptu. It's only this afternoon that you know, invited to, not invited to the meeting, but invited to do something because the patriot that I am, when I'm speaking from my heart, I was, you know, approached and say, come to this, but I didn't know, I had no thought that it was going to be the first act on stage. So give me a round of applause. As a Grenadian, I will come on even if I come in and sing first or come in and sing last. But even if I just got to notice a few minutes, Mr. Jimani Williams, give me a moment. It's going to be a nice evening, a lot of acts on stage. I imagine that when I go off the stage, I might not have time to invite you to tomorrow's affair, which is the Grenadian Awards. It's a Grenadian affair. It's the first time, I think it's the first of our Caribbean awards kind of situation, if you understand what I'm saying. And we, at least, should give ourselves, don't clap here, give ourselves a round of applause that we can put an award program together where we can recognize our positive people in our community and in the diaspora as Grenadians, Caribbeans, and Pitamaticans. Give it a applause. So it's coming tomorrow at the Tropical Ballroom on Utica Avenue. Please come and support. It's the first of its kind, and we really want to see you there. A lot of acts on stage and between the awards and several awards in various categories that you will feel proud that we can honor these people who have been making us as Grenadians feel very proud. Okay? Joe, Mr. Forrester, out of Paraclete, former bass player of Exodus. That was an Exodus. Joe, stand up and take a little bow. Stand up and you don't get it over to me all the time. My bass player from my band, Exodus, from 1974 until we stopped a little while. Bring me the music now, let me give. It's impromptu like I told you, so I'm going to give you something that we can be proud of. And the House of Calypso 10 says good evening also. As we turn the century, all far up in my voice I mean, and we no time to wait on no one, so we got for what's on. recognizing identity. I represent the community. Now it's time to show Sanitation, musicians and all Calypsonians, take a bow, stand and take a bow. Despite silence, you it's your time without contribution. She has come from you. It is time to take a bow, take a bow, take a bow. It's high time to take a bow. Dr.the, they say here and there, but that one. Who's still up and Dr. What's for your rose? And you're losing them all all kinds of conditions. You see men and what the front workers union. Some country. You don't have a celebration about you never leave. But I love this, you know why? It's an honor, and we are here to celebrate our respects for our country, for whatever we provide to make us be recognized outside of Grenada, Caribbean, and Martinique. We feel proud, I feel proud. Listen, I'm doing this because they should be calling me off the station right now. I'm not supposed to be but I'm happy to know that when we change governments and so forth, it's an honor to say, well, the best man won, and we need to move forward. And promise and move forward. And this is where we should stand. I love you. We're here to carry with you, my name. I love you so much. As usual, I love to say ciao, ciao, ciao. And I hope to see you tomorrow. Listen.
Mr. Adams, give us some love. He is, like all of us, patriotic son, and his way of expressing himself. Well, here what happened. The PM is here, and we want to speed things up. We want to get to the program. So let's bring on another patriotic son.
Since you are falling to the last row of the ladder, and then you must stand up there and on the river floor, up to heaven, they just don't bother. Some of your friends have done the last on you. They don't want to see a friend with your name on it. No one pretend one day you'll rise up to. Cause it has to come. It is right never have to eat. But this will never go. Oh, Grenada. Sweet, sweet Grenada. I could never, ever let you go. Oh, no. I'll always be right there by your side. With my arms around you, to my your weeping eyes. Once again, we will be the Ajamu of the Caribbean. Why do we do this together? Prime Minister, somebody go back to my children. I want somebody to stand up. Everybody just stand up. Stand up and take a snap. To defend your position from all those smattery pop scams who to take a bite and make their own decision and go to the world that they are the Grenadians. While your friends had time you were going through, they still wouldn't help you out. If you beg them please, hold on to them, little do they know that that good name is better than great children that you have for power. Oh, Grenada, sweet, sweet Grenada. Standing because another man with plenty fire will keep moving them right along.
And he's a young man with so much talent, former Soca Monarch in Grenada, a young man with so much talent, road march, very energetic, represented Grenada in Trinidad in the National Soca Monarch Finals, and he is all over the world now. Let's bring on the young man known as Killa. He said, "Nice spice, you rock the spice." Are you ready to rock the spice? If we say it once, we say it twice. Let's rock the spice, Killa!
Somebody say mommy. Somebody say green. And I get a green board. Somebody say start the song. This is
so baby, please just prolong. The woman to just go when you come from. So they come down the Spice Island. I'm gonna sing it in the high. She a really love this island boy. She was a hand, she pulled me on the dance floor. Hold me tight and she wouldn't let me go. When me try what the woman pulled me back, and in my ears she's hot and she said, she was a Spice Island. So they all come to the bar. She was a Spice Island. She was a Spice Island. So they all come to the bar. She was a Spice Island. She was an island boy. She was a queen of an island boy. Island things she wanted to enjoy. Big love under the island sky. So we take the woman back up to please. Pull up my hands and knee. Drive on walk, there's a lead. Take the woman down to the beach from a steam. Run on some island queen. So she don't have a nice island dream. Wanna live from the island steam. We're in the Kansas Spring, the rock. She was a Spice Island. So we're welcome to the rock. She was a Spice Island. Oh, the rock. She was a Spice Island. So we're welcome to the rock. She was a Spice Island. As the woman opened up the eyes, she turned and asked me if this paradise. I said, baby, how did just realize? You should help us as an disguise. This is where all the fish them swim. I'm the land of birds and sea. But this man is spice is not here. Lately, when I talk to the green, she want to know all about it. She want to know the Grenadian doctrine. She want to take it out of the father. She want to know my only my father. She want to know the woman. She want to it's all about the PM tonight. Give him a round of applause. I must say, as a youth growing up in Grenada for the past couple of years, a section of us has been eluded from feeling prosperous, from feeling that there is greatness in the near future. That means the youth has been losing hope, they lose that drive to be positive and to grow. But now, I see smiling faces. When I
street now, I see smile on faces. I see hope. And I see the possibilities of things getting better. Now, we're in late, remember? So, this is not the show night, and I have to leave now. But before I leave, about a year ago, I wrote a song.
Sing it now!
And I'm going to give you just a verse and a chorus. But you have to listen to me carefully, because that is how I felt. But now, I can't sing that song no more, because it's all about green. Okay, it went like this. Hold on, no. Oh, people are born, them are born, them are born. Oh, people are born, them are born, them are born. Oh, I can hear them born, them are born, them are born. Oh, people are born, I hear them born, I hear them born. Listen to me. Them talk about the wind of changes. Up to now, I can't see no changes. People get mad like dog with changes. So people don't like these changes. All of a sudden, everything get costly. They must send more people to the marchery. They want to play with my mind like lottery. We didn't vote for them, so they're giving cash.
Come again, come again!
They say I can sing one more. Listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. Let me give you a game so you understand. Them talk about the wind of changes. Up to now I can't see no changes. People get mad like down with midges. So I really don't like these changes. All of a sudden everything get costly. They must send more people to the marchery. They want to play with their mind like lottery. They don't play. I didn't vote for them, so them didn't catch me. They want to program your mind like chip. But them go to sing like a sinking ship. Before I vote for them, I'd rather put my hand in a... Give me that song, give me that. This is what Grenada. Because Grenada is a beautiful place. She's so beautiful. We're singing, up on the wall. Isn't she the most beautiful in the hall? One in a million, one of a kind. And I want her to be mine. Up on the wall. Isn't she the most beautiful in the hall? And proper placement to the Honorable Dr.the. Now let me see all the people who took the flight and come to Grenada and put up next. Extra blessings to you because you went the extra mile. But now there is people that didn't get a chance to fly though, but they still put full 100. Put your hands in the air like this. I know when that night you feel like emancipation, like freedom once again, and then throw your hands in the air, and then jump, and I must say respect to you, I love you. This is not a show night, so I can't give too much trouble. Let the cat bust all the one things. So you know the blessings, one love, right? I love you. Thank you so much, Killa. What an entertainer. Whole lot of talent from the Spice Island. Talented people all over. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start this evening's official ceremony. I'd like to call on
on stage Minister Gunpot, Minister Hazel Gunpot. She's going to do our invocation. Minister Hazel Gunpot.
Good evening. Could you all stand in reverence to the Most High God? Father God, we come to you this evening, thanking you, O God, for this day. Thanking you for bringing us to this event. Thanking you, O God, for the island of Grenada and the new leadership team. Thanking you, O God, for this resounding victory. We thank you, O God, for this evening. We come to give you glory and honor and thank you for putting your hand in this election. Amen. Your words say that if we ask, we shall receive. And if we seek, we shall find. And if we knock, doors will be open unto us. And Father, we ask you now to open the windows of heaven and pour us out an abundant blessing. Pour us abundant blessing over the island of Grenada, on the Prime Minister, the leadership team, and all of those who are well-wishers. We ask, oh God, after we knock, Father, we ask you, oh God, for your blessing upon the nation. We ask for your wisdom in this time to lead. We ask, oh God, that you keep your hand upon us and that you release your favor that connects us to the necessary resources. Order our steps and protect us, and let not mistakes of the past be repeated. Father, we ask for unity to prevail, for your peace to permeate our nation, and your love to cause us to forgive one another and not hold on to grudges. This we ask that to bless everyone and every home represented here. This we ask, Father, in Jesus' name, as you shepherd us, as we all recite the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff shall comfort me. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for all the days of my life, and surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, Lord. To God be the glory. You may be seated.
He has done.
Thank you so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome to Brooklyn College the president of the NMP support here in New York, Mr. Wayne. Mr. Wayne Mitchell. And now we call him Ambassador Bristol to the U.S. Ambassador Bristol. We also call him Ambassador Decimal Williams to the United Nations. Ambassador Williams. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we call on our esteemed Prime Minister, Dr. Mitchell, and his wife, Mrs. Mitchell. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Ambassador to the United Nations, a living legend, a stalwart, Dr. Stanislaus. Orator, always here in our community for us. Former ambassador to the U.S. and the United Nations, we're talking about Dr. Stanislaus. Let's call on former ambassador to the U.S., Mr. Antoine. Ambassador. And our former Consul General, Mr. Alan McGuire. And now, former Consul General, Mr. Derek James. Mr. Derek James. And now, we call him Daughter of the Soil. And now we call on Miss Amina Caesar, Grenadian, New York Independence Calypso Queen 2011, first runner-up of the Miss Grenada USA pageant, and former Miss Caribbean Queen 2012. And she is what a talent. She is here to do our rendition of the American National Anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light
Belinda Monroe, who is a multi-talented singer, songwriter, and motivational speaker. She has shared the stage with countless artists including Celine Dion, Vanessa Bill Armstrong, Kirk Franklin, Mary J. Blige, very talented across the globe, across the world, and we are very fortunate to have her here with us. A son, a daughter of the soil, daughter of, parents from Grenada, and she's here to do the Grenadian national anthem. Belinda. To do his rendition in time. And now you can all be seated.
Sorry.
In the meantime, I'd like to acknowledge State Senator John Sampson in the House, former Majority Leader. We also would like to acknowledge Councilmember Jeremy Williams. Mister Vaughn Haynes, well-known proprietor right here in Brooklyn. Grenadian to the bone. All right, so we're waiting on our list, but in the meantime, while we do that, we want to thank you for being such a patient audience here this evening, and we're about to really start in a big way. Assemblyman Nick Perry, I saw him earlier. Assemblyman Nick Perry, that's Assemblyman Nick Perry, and all our officials, friends of Grenada, ladies and gentlemen, I like to say children of all ages. Do we have that list? Well, I think we'll move right along. In the meantime, as we go along, we'll acknowledge most of our from the city. We have a lot of people from also Congressman Meeks' office in Queens, and we have the esteemed lady herself. How are you doing? Valerie, Veronica, Miss Bedford, always there for us. We appreciate it. All right, moving right along, we'd like to call on the President's remarks of the NNP Committee here in New York. Mr. Wayne Mitchell.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This evening, first of all, I would like to thank the Supreme Being for making this event possible this evening. Mr. Prime Minister, special invited guests, citizens and friends of Grenada, Caribbean, and Peter Martinique, citizens and friends of the diaspora at large, other supporters and well-wishers. Good evening, and a very special welcome to each and every one of you. The election results of February 19th mark a very special, significant moment for the trial and state of Grenada, Caribbean, and Martinique. The overwhelming statement made by the polls is undoubtedly a demonstration of the people's desire for change and love of country. A demonstration of the people's confidence in the new elected Prime Minister, a man who has proven record of successful leadership. The citizens of Grenada have voted for a leader and a government who they believe can restore Grenada's economy. They have voted for a government and a leader that believe can restore the confidence in the investors, both local and foreign. They have voted for a leader and a government who they believe and who have what it takes to create the most needed jobs to develop and expand the nation of Grenada. Amen. To improve the quality of education, to strengthen the national security, and to ensure suitable development and stable governance. Friends, it is time to get our country back to a state of stability and prosperity. We have elected a leader and a government who have confidence. However, it cannot be done without the support of us all. Certainly, the task ahead is a challenging one, but we must not be daunted. What is needed now is a purposeful coming together of Grenadians wherever to shape a new Grenada. Therefore, each of us now has the opportunity to put our shoulders to the wheel, and more than ever before. Grenadians in the diaspora makes a significant part of this country, human capital. human capital that we should not waste. Indeed, Grenadians live here in the diaspora, and integral constituency in addressing the challenge facing our people, nation. Each of us can assist with providing fresh ideas as it relates to the development policies. As promoters of community development, educators, financiers, and social entrepreneurship initiative, many of you are waiting for the opportunity to utilize as asset in the uplifting of your communities back home and creating foundation for sustainable growth and prosperity. I am happy to report that this time is now. Friends, we have been key participants in the developmental trust of our beloved tri-state by building and sustaining partnership with our government and non-government agency with the aim of achieving goals that will be beneficial to our country. Indeed, the time for us to recommit ourselves to this partnership of nation building is now. However, it cannot be done if we are not united. It is essential, therefore, for us to unite, work together to advance the progress of our beloved nation. When our people pull together, we multiply our potential. We expand our skills and expertise, and we broaden our pool of resources. All of these attributes are needed to ensure that we improve the welfare, long-term development of our country. Friends, unity is strength. Let this be our watchword forward. As I close, I leave with you these words. Love of country is natural. Pride in one's ancestry is wholesome. And one's commitment to country is essential. May God continue to bless our nation. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you so much. Mr. Wayne Mitchell. I will move right along. We'd like to acknowledge right here we have Stevia Schillenberg, executive from Local 1199. Also we have Mr. Andy King, New York City Council Member, 12th District. We have Councilmember Eugene Matthews from the 45th District, 40th District here in Brooklyn. Also, we would also like to acknowledge Consul General Evans, Fred Evans from Guyana, representing Guyana. Mary Bishop, representing Congresswoman Yvette Clark. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to call on Ms. Sophia Jones. Greetings from the Brooklyn Borough President's Office.
Good evening, everyone. I am honored to be a Canadian today. You're right, just to be a part of it. My name is Sophia Jones, and I am here on behalf of Board President Marty Markowitz, I am his Caribbean representative, and with that, I am honored. Thank you. I bring you greetings on Marty's behalf, and a special welcome to all the elected officials and Dr. the Right Honorable Mr. Keith Claudia Mitchell. We are thrilled to have you here in Brooklyn, the proud Caribbean capital of America. From Bushwick to Crown Heights, Flatbush to Bed-Stuy, Flatlands to Canarsie and East Flatbush, every square inch of Brooklyn has been enriched by the contributions of our Caribbean American communities. And it is truly difficult to imagine Brooklyn without the sights, the sounds, and the taste of Grenada, which resonate across our borough. As we move forward, the Brooklyn Borough President and all the staff of Borough Hall look forward to building an even closer relationship with Grenada. And now, on behalf of Brooklyn Borough President Marty Markowitz and the 2.6 million people of Brooklyn, it is my privilege and my honor to present you a replica of the Brooklyn Bridge.
Thank you so much. As we move right along, we'd like to recognize Deputy Consul General Antigua of Antigua Barbuda, Deputy Consul General Omaya David. And now we call on Ambassador Bristol to give us some brief remarks.
What a warm, sunny day from Grenada we have in the house tonight. Amen. Thank God that the contingent that came from Grenada recently has clearly melted the snow in this East Coast. Thank you. Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, Prime Minister of Grenada, Mrs. Mitchell, and colleague ambassadors, former dignitaries, very venerable Ambassador Stanislaus, who somewhere in my Caribbean roots is related to me, or I'm related to him. I'm so Mr. Mitchell, President of the NNP Group here in New York, and to all my sister and brother Grenadians here this evening, and now the dignitaries. I am so honored and privileged to have this opportunity to be with you on this momentous occasion. It is the first time that our Prime Minister, Dr. Mitchell, is on travel out of our homeland on official business. And it is my honor as the representative of the government and the people of Grenada to these United States of America to welcome him to the shores of this great Minister has chosen to come to the United States of America on his first official trip overseas, and not only that, but in the very few days after having been elected resoundingly by the people of Grenada, and the electorate in Grenada in particular, shows what a very strong bond Grenada has with the United States. Our friendship is also more of one of family. And you who Grenadians who live here in New York are particularly keen about that. Because, you know, I boast all the time that Grenadians, and I was saying this to the Prime Minister earlier, and he will admit that I was, that Grenadians, I believe, are the most patriotic West Indians anywhere. Even here in Brooklyn. There, 2 flags flying. My nutmeg, always. Our nutmeg, our spice. I mean, we bring the spice of life anywhere we go, but with a fierceness. And I want to commend each of us who is out here doing that. It doesn't matter the storms, it doesn't matter whether it's nature, whether it's economics, whether it's just the trials of life. But we seem to persevere. We always seem to fight back. We're really hard, really strong. And in these past few years, since Hurricane Ivan paid us an unwelcome visit, Grenada has been in the throes of real almost recession, if not recession economically. And we know we've all been hurting. We know that. And yet, we keep trying. We've been hurting here because in the United States, they've also been in a world financial recession. So it's not just one country or anything, but we all know that if we want to keep Grenada, the Grenada that we love, the Grenada that we know, the Grenada where we grew up, the Grenada where we want our grandchildren and our first generation Americans to go back to have some oil down, to go to Grenada's beach, to go to the river, to go to Bailey's Bacalet, anywhere, to go to Caracou, to sail up to Caracou and sail the Grenadians, then we have to put back. We have to give back. Yes. We came here with our gifts, with our talents, with the values that have been inculcated in us by our families, our parents, and we made our lives here. But we have to give back. We have to keep Grenada, Caracou, Petit Martinique, and Kikamjeni, and all the islands in between, the Sandy Island and Green Island, and all of them, as beautiful, as peaceful, as precious as they are. And the only way we can do that is if we give back. We have to be part of nation building. Mr. Mitchell said it to you earlier, and we all know it. And the fact that you have been doing it means that I don't need to preach to you. You're the choir, you can sing the songs. But you need to take the message out there. Let's rally around the flag. Let's rally around our people. Let's rally around our heritage. Thank you. That's it, sister. We have to rally for our future. Grenada is not going to be the Grenada that we know and love unless we do, and unless we bring the rest of us into the fold. So let's forget about the divisions that other people would want to separate us. Let's forget about the malice that other people will want to throw as a wedge in the face of goodwill. Let us forget about evil. Stamp out Satan, we prayed earlier. Come on, Grenada is one country, one strong country. 3 big islands and 2 little islands, but if you ask anybody, we're just this on the map, right? And as the Jamaicans say, we little but we tell them. As small as we are, when I stand to represent my country and each one of you, whether I'm at the Organization of American States among 33 other sovereign nations of this hemisphere, or I'm in Mexico doing my work, or in the nation's capital, I tell them if there's one thing we have, is that human capital that Mr. Mitchell mentioned. The human capital, we are our greatest asset. So let's get going with the innovative ideas. Let's put what we have out there and make it something. Let's have the vision. Let's share the vision that our leaders put before us, but also help them with that vision. We all have talent. We're very talented, accomplished people. And out here in the diaspora, we have access to more resources than ever. You know there are approximately 100,000 Grenadian souls in New York alone, the 3rd largest West Indian population in New York. If each of us were to give $1 single, how much money would we have? Just $1 to any project or program in Grenada. Think about the power that is. And think about if you put your intelligence and your skills and your education and you brought all your family with you, how much more would Grenada have? We can't all go on the same plane. We can't all go at the same time. Well, we don't even need to go. We just need to invest. We need to encourage. We need to mentor. We need to share. And I'm very, very honored and pleased to be with you this afternoon to share with you. And it has been my privilege, Prime Minister, to have served for the last 3.5 years as Grenada's ambassador to the United States, the OAS, and Mexico. And now, as my tenure is about to end, I've had the thrill of coming to speak with you. But as I said to the Prime Minister, I'm insistent on being in service to my country and my people. So wherever I go, you can count on my wonder. You can count on my talents and my all to be in service of my country, and I thank you. And offer the floor to the next speaker. With that, Prime Minister, I'm at your service. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we call on Ambassador to the United Nations for a brief remark, Ms.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Emphasis on brief. Honorable Prime Minister and Mrs. Mitchell, Chair and members of the NNP Support Group, distinguished public officials and members of the head table, my colleague ambassadors, fellow Grenadians, sisters and brothers all. I join in my sister ambassador in saying what a thrill it is to be here among our very exuberant nationals. Give ourselves a big round of applause. I want to thank you, organizers, for inviting me to speak today at this very important and momentous Grenada Town Hall meeting. I would have preferred not to speak. Diplomats have to know when and where to speak, and when and where not to speak. However, in having to speak then, let my first words be to congratulate His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Mitchell on the stunning victory and that of his team to lead Grenada following our national elections. As a public service, Prime Minister, you have had my full support since taking office, and I will continue to do so until my departure. On this note, and as I step down from my post as permanent representative of Grenada to the United Nations, let me say what an unparalleled privilege it has been to serve Grenada for a second time. I express my thanks to former Prime Minister Tillman Thomas for the opportunity that he and his administration provided for me and the trust reposed in me to serve the government, the country, and the people of Grenada. During these past 4 years, we at the mission, and I wish to acknowledge and to thank the staff of the Permanent Mission of Grenada, we have worked hard to put Grenada on the center of the United Nations global agenda. We have also had the good fortune to be at the center for the last half of the decade at momentous international events, the Copenhagen Climate Summit, the Rio +20 Conference on Sustainable Development, the admission of South Sudan to the United Nations, the diplomatic battles over Palestine, and many, many others. So much we have learned, so much we have inculcated and incubated for Grenada. These experiences stand at the service of the new regime. Let me then encourage young people, and especially young women, to actively consider a career in diplomacy. The Grenada Diplomatic Corps is quite small, but women are at every level and until recently we were 4 women, now we are 7. Almost 50% of quality Grenadian women serving our country. I certainly hope that a woman will follow me at the United Nations, Ambassador and Prime Minister. In closing, let me say that we must go forward with good hearts. The leader of the NNP support group and my colleague ambassador have referred to this. We must go forward as an extraordinary group of nationals, embracing each other with all our warts and all our goodness. As I step down and return to Grenada, I take this opportunity to wish the 14th Ambassador of Grenada to the United Nations every success in her or his undertaking, knowing that Grenada has good friends in that august body of 193 governments and thousands of the best professionals in the world waiting to serve us. I also wish the incoming Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Business, Honorable Nicholas Steele, every best wish for success, knowing that we are here to serve him. Belated Happy International Women's Day to all the sisters, and to Mrs. Mitchell in particular, and Prime Minister, may God bless you and your family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll give you a little entertainment as we get ready to bring on the son of the soil, that the man is definitely ready, willing to perform for you. Experienced songwriter, singer, producer, arranger. He's known as the musician. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the man known as, I can't keep up with how many road march and how many titles you want to think about. 8 Calypso Monarch of Grenada, Caribbean. Ladies and gentlemen, King Ajamu.
Instead of examining ourselves and, feel good about people. And those people who are executing the offices, who oversee the offices, they need your support. They need your prayers.
Yes.
Because they say a nation that is inspired by its people, you can't go wrong. Because the voice of the people is the voice of God. Alright? So when you go to bed at night, before you go to bed, you need to pray for the Prime Minister so you can find the wisdom to execute judgment. He alone can do it.
That's right.
It's all our way together. And that's why I want to sing this song. No road is too slippery, no mountain too high for us to climb if we do it together. Let's do it together! We could do it together! We could do it! Mr. Prime Minister, Uncle Mitchell, we could do it! Uncle Mitchell! It's our responsibility to take this country where it should be. If I really need it, I don't have to worry not much to know. So if you just can't see where I'm coming from, something got something wrong. The load is too heavy, the want is too high for us to climb. together. The road is too long. If only we make up our mind to build Grenada. Together we could rise. Together we could rise. Rise again. I know what I'm saying. People united, could be so vibrant and strong, we could never go wrong. But if we divided one, we are destined for a fall, and it won't be too long. So it's imperative that we face the fact, every man has a part to play. It's not up to no government, no prime minister or president, or everybody must have a say. The wealth of country, as far as my eyes could see, it would come by no miracle, but it's up to you and me. No road is too heavy, no mountains too high for us to climb. If we do it together, no road is too slippery. If only we make up our mind to live together. Together we could make it more. Together we could make it more. Come shine our head. I know what I'm saying. You believe it? You believe it? Yes. Together we could make it work. And Mr. PM, the people, the voice of the people is the voice of God. Call on the people, find out what they want, find out what is lacking. There is a problem. We need to sit down and talk, try and walk it out. Hey. Promoting conflict, we only get us in a slum without a doubt. Hey. Instead of calling each other names, so we the of disaster, and so can I what's the name? I trust in me, I should never be on a high. So if we cannot fill up with our partner from almost smoke we like. No road is too heavy, no mountain is too high for us to climb. If you do it together, no road is too muddy. If only we make up our mind to live together. Together we can work it out. Together we can work it out. Come shine our head. I know what I'm saying. Thank you very much. May God bless you. May God bless all the lovely Prime Minister and all his members of Parliament. We love you. And we're with you.
Thank you so much, King Ajamu. Yes, sir. King Ajamu. We'd like to acknowledge Consul General of the Republic of Guyana, Honorable Brendan F.R. Evans. From Guyana, all representing the region at Guyana. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd also like to welcome the lady who laid down the tracks right here in Brooklyn. The front runner, still a fire throwing the blazing the trail. I'm talking about our very first Caribbean councilwoman here in New York City, Councilwoman Una Clark. Former Councilwoman Una Clark, but as far as I'm concerned, the lady laws be there. Setting the trend for this lady, taking it to the next generation. Ladies and gentlemen, Brooklyn College, let's welcome Councilmember Gerardine Williams, doing a great job.
Evening, Spice, how you doing? Spice, you alright? This is Gerardine Williams. Everybody okay? I just want to say congratulations. Let me step out. I don't know if I can step out here. How the Spice people doing? I want to say congratulations to the Honorable Keith Mitchell. From my understanding, you just squeaked by a little bit of the victory. Well, I want to say congratulations to him, of course. I'm very proud to have spice in my blood to be the first Grenadian American elected to the city council. And I hope I'm making you guys proud every single day. I want to thank the dignitaries, my colleague, Andy King came all the way from the Bronx, from city council, and all the dignitaries on stage. And of course, I just want to make sure everybody knows all the foolishness of the election is over. Grenada is now won again, and we have to make sure to do the business of Grenada until the next election. Godspeed. Thank you so much.
Roots from the Spice Island himself, Jamal Williams. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we call on former ambassador to the United Nations, our very own, Dr. Lemuel Stanislaus. Dr. Lemuel Stanislaus, to introduce our Prime Minister, Dr. Mitchell.
I will go dead in it. I have to change the battery. It takes 2 minutes to upload the battery. It takes 2 minutes, so just leave it until they cut out. That was undented.
Increasing steps, so go by declining years. So you understand why my movement is so limited. However, Mr. Chairman, distinguished Prime Minister of the Triad State of Grenada, Caribbean, Martinique, and Mrs. Mitchell, members of the diplomatic and consular corps, our elected and appointed officials here present, the officers and members of the NMP, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the concise Oxford Dictionary describes the word introduce either as to make known or to present. And speaking to the Prime Minister before we got in here, he told me, you know, you have a bad habit of inflicting verbal punishment on a good audience. So I therefore govern myself accordingly. I have here the Prime Minister's bio, or his CV. And I don't propose, and he told me don't try to read everything. So, Mr. Prime Minister, I just say a few words. And I just take some excerpts from his bio. And I want to just speak a little about his education. The groundwork that was laid to bring him to where he is today. And I am reminded of what Marcus Garvey said many, many years ago. Up, you noble people, climb Jacob's ladder. I had an opportunity to look at his progress. So just let me read from his bio, just a few lines. Let me get into my cake here.
Oh my gosh.
Dr. Mitchell received his early education at the Happy Hill Roman Catholic School and at J.W. Fletcher School in St. George's. But his best part of his secondary education, which he received at Presentation Brothers College. And there he excelled not only in his intellectual achievements, but in his progress and prowess in sports. One of the finest athletes who attended Presentation College. And in the pursuit of higher education, Dr. Mitchell went to the University of West Indies on the Cape Hill campus, where he gained his Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics and chemistry. And I must pause for a moment and comment there. You know, our children these days, we send them to school, they're afraid of mathematics and chemistry. You know that? That is why we are hearing so much of a shortage in science and technology. And we are in competition, as you know, with some of the advanced countries for skilled, methodical, and highly trained mathematicians in science and in dentistry. And mathematics is the mother of science. And that is why, Dr. Mitchell, we love you, we honor you, and we respect you for your achievements. On your nobilization. Time Jacob's ladder, step by step. And that is what he did. Time by his intellect. What was the best in him? And leaving Cape Hill, he went to Howard University. He taught there mathematics again and science. They needed that so badly. But before he became a professor, he received his education at the, just let me see, 1 minute, American University. That is where he got his Doctor of Philosophy in Mathematics and Science. Next step, you remember that Grenada had a problem of political instability and social unrest. We're talking of the period of the New Jewish movement. And it's strange, during that period, it is when Dr. Mitchell went into serious politics in Grenada. And before too long, he's always upward mobility. He became, in 1984, a member of Parliament for St. George's Northwest. From there, he held so many positions as a minister. Minister of Works, Minister of Utilities, and so many others. And as I move on, let me read a little more here. Just a little more, just to have patience. Dr. Mitchell was elected political leader of the NNP, and we are here in support of the NNP. This is the support group here. later served as Prime Minister, Minister of National Security, Mobilization, Caribbean, Diplomatic Affairs, etc. So you can see the talent that he has demonstrated to not only to Grenada, but the wider Caribbean and to the world. So, not wanting to inflict any further verbal punishment on this audience, I'm going to just take what you told me. That take the definition of introduce by saying present. So, ladies and gentlemen, I now present to you the distinguished Prime Minister of Grenada, Caribbean, and Martinique. I present to you his dashing, dynamic, urbane, and handsome young man.
I want to thank my very good friend, the one and only Dr. and Hollice. Congressman David Clark, distinguished Grenadian ambassadors, the United States, Sister Bristol, and Sister Decima Williams, other distinguished former representatives of our beautiful country, representative of the state government here in New York, and the consular officers, distinguished members of the diplomatic community, my dear sisters and brothers all. First of all, let me thank you for this very warm reception here in New York. It was coming on the heels of a very special session in Toronto last night. My dear brothers and sisters, I want to correct a statement made earlier on about my presence here in New York at this time. I had committed myself before the election of the family to attend a personal matter here in New York as soon as the election is over. And therefore, this has been a private visit paid for by me, not the government and people of Grenada, Caribbean, You see, I'm very concerned, and this would be the hallmark of this new NNP administration. Travels abroad will be scrutinized with an absolute certainty, particularly in a time when it is felt that the country is going through pain. Under this new NNP administration, there will be no large unnecessary delegation riders around the world at the expense of the Grenadian people. My cabinet colleagues have already been informed going to be business as usual. But as I attend to my personal matters, I'm in New York as Prime Minister. I can't remove that. And I will not return home without visiting with you, my dear brothers and sisters. And of course, Toronto is just a few miles away, and they insisted that I pay them a day's visit. So friends, the election of February 19th is over. The people of our country have expressed their will after a very fervently fought election campaign. But as I say this, and as I was saying to some friends last evening, after being involved in politics of the country for 30 years, I'm convinced that we are seeing a maturing of our people in the political process. And I tell you why I say this. Two incidents brought that to my attention. There was no major incident of violence in an entire election campaign. There were attempts by some to incite, but we did not allow that to prevail. So that I was in Lafayette in St. Andrews 2 weeks before the elections, addressing a crowd of about 200 persons, those who know Lafayette, nearby the Cocoa Station, those who know it well. People on both sides of the road and vehicles were passing. And while I was speaking, I noticed 6 persons, men and women, dressed in yellow NBC jerseys, walking quietly through in the middle of the road through the meeting. And I was concerned. But when I continued speaking and I noticed the crowd did not even literally look at them. Not a drum was heard. And the brothers and sisters passed through and stood a little distance away and listened to the meeting until I left, because I usually attend 4 and 5 meetings on a night, so I speak and move to the next one. My friends, that couldn't happen 15 years ago or 20 years ago in Grenada. If some serious problems will occur. I know I have friends from Jamaica and Trinidad. I don't think that will easily happen in Jamaica. Easily. Yellow jersey passing through green. But that to me is a demonstration of maturity. People have a right to their political views. Tell our supporters consistently, no one gives us the right to have ultimate control over knowledge. And then in a vibrant democratic process, people are expected to support different political parties, and it is good for the system. But the second incident really shocked me. The night of the election, was clearly NNP had won, massively so. I was being asked to drive to headquarters, the NNP headquarters, to meet with the other candidates who were assembling there. So by then, the police had in fact come by to escort me, as the appears the election had in fact been won. And as we were going through River Road, there was this large, massive show of political support with a big DJ coming from River Road against the direction we are going. And it was difficult to pass. But in this session where there's thousands of people jumping with green shirts, to my amazement, I see one girl with a yellow jersey jumping. Well, in fact, I was a bit petrified because I thought something not so good may happen on the night that we are victorious. But I saw NNP hugging her up and dancing too. I told the police, stop, I must see this. So I stopped and they were in front of the vehicle. I signaled to the police to get her around to my side. She came over to me and hugged me.
I tell you.
And I'm sure you saw that picture all over. My friends, I took a few minutes to see this because there's a point I'm trying to make. This country called Grenada and Caribbean will not make the progress it deserves if we don't stop fighting each other and start working to build our country. We have to accept the fact that in a democratic process there must be one winner and one loser. And for some of us, the only time democracy works is when we win. It does not happen so. In fact, you can only be a good winner if you learn to become a good loser. And therefore, friends, let me share with you briefly. Now tonight, I would make some points about the problems that we face and the solutions that we're offering. One thing you won't hear me do, which was done consistently in the last 1.5 years, is to attack personalities. That has been our fundamental weakness in our country. We can attack people's positions politically, their policies. But when you start to attack persons personally, particularly when you do not have facts to show that, it destroys the unit of the family and the communities. Yes. It creates unhealthy relationships. It hurts the bottom of the soul. And it does not go away easily. The revolution suffered because of this. Because when one person enters jail, wrongly so, it is not one person. It is sometimes a family. And then it is also sometimes a village, and sometimes even a constituency. And when we get rid of the bread, we take the bread from the plate of a poor person, we don't just hurt that person, we hurt an entire family. And by implication, an entire community, because this little country is a little family. Therefore, why was the election results as massive as it was? I was asked that question consistently yesterday in Grenada when we won, and of course, even this afternoon on the radio program, both in Miami and New York today. Simply put this. There was simply a disconnect between those who govern and the governed. Simply put. Sometimes when we get into political office, we sometimes believe we are now the masters and the people are the servants. It is sad because we never learned the lesson. When the people go to the polls, they teach us the lessons. And my friends, let me say this. As I said to my colleagues, if we do not learn the lessons that the NDC learned so very well on February 19th, we will face the same fate as the National Democratic Congress. Take people for granted and you pay the price. Assume you are this God Almighty and that you are bigger than everybody else. No one can mock. I am in charge. Yes, you're in charge for a time, but you will be disciplined accordingly. So there was a disconnect. I say to people over and over, if you want to be a teacher, if you don't like kids, don't go in the people's classroom. You destroy kids, and I've seen kids destroyed by bad teachers. Because I taught for almost the entire life. If you talking about being a doctor and want to serve medicine to people, and you don't like people, leave the people profession alone. You are going to destroy a lot of lives. And if you want to be in politics and you don't like people, my God, you will destroy a lot of lives. My friends, some people might be shocked with the results, but it's not a shock. You cannot win a seat by 1,000 votes to 1,200 votes in an election, and then 4.5 years later, you lose by 200 and something votes, and you want to blame people, and you're talking about the opposition went to Haiti and perform voodoo. Perception of a lack of sensitivity. There was a perception that while people were suffering, some people seemed to be enjoying themselves.
Yes.
So when I made the point about traveling a while ago, you cannot tell an old lady that I can't put a piece of board to fix your house because I don't have money. But the next day she get 10, 12 people traveling some big parts of the world on joy rides. A lot of times the joy rides, I've seen all the time the joy rides. My friends, you cannot tell the poor lady who watches her child, sits home from going to school because she doesn't have the transportation allowance. And then the next day, you hear the expansion of government to make another ministry because another minister is friendly with the Prime Minister and he decided he wants a ministry too because others that didn't run for seat want ministry, get ministry, and he must get one too. So the people's work is being played political football. I say to my colleagues, and I think you understand me very well, no one is blackmailing this Prime Minister of Grenada. So my friends, when I watch I did say I'm not talking about personal realize this. We're almost losing a generation of young people. I had difficulty keeping my emotions at the church service a week ago, first Sunday after Carnival, after elections, when I started talking about young people. Because I saw so many of them in the last 4.5 years come to me and break down crying. They have nothing to do. 8 O levels, 10 O levels, bachelor degrees, went to school in Mexico, come back with masters, and sit in a home for 3 years. My friends, when you see this happen to your society, and you sit down there as leaders, whether in opposition or government, if it doesn't hurt you, then you don't have a conscience.
Yeah, right, right. They're hapless.
My friends, as I watched the election campaign and several of the rallies, the people who are up front, in front of our faces as I stand on the podium, speaking, and they're in your face, with their eyes as bright as the star, with a level of expectancy, like if they're saying, save me, save me. I remember in St. Andrews at Pearls, when I watched an array of young people that sometimes would not come to a polling station to vote. And I saw their faces. I sat down after I was finished speaking, and I said to one of my colleagues, Anthony Bose, next to me, I said, Tony, you think we know what we're getting into? These people are not making joke. My friends, we cannot let down these people anymore. Grenadians have gone through enough.
That's right.
Our young people are crying out for us to save them. And that is why I say, my friends, we have to, whatever little battles we had before, we got it right. I had mine with some people. They had it with me. But why? Who are we? Who are we?
That's right.
We're just objects in this whole big plan that the Almighty has for all of us. So we're going to spend my time worrying about what Tom Jones said about me 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and watch the suffering continues in the country as they let us drop the hatred battle, unite our forces and build back our country. That's why, my friends, I want to say to ambassadors, we have seen over the years, people serve the country. Sometimes they were asked to serve, but they didn't even ask for the job. And then government changed and we treat them like trash. As if they had no right to be there. As if there's some convict. I remember an incident with our distinguished brother, Dr. Stanislaus, was literally thrown out of an office. After a national election, not a revolution. A national election occurred, not a revolution, but he was thrown out, one of the most decent human beings I have ever come across. The painful experience, and I only say it to your colleagues, is not, I have forgiven this, because I will not treat my opponent the same way that I was treated, because I would not reduce myself.
You're right. You're right, sir.
I had my vehicles taken away from me the morning of the election. I was still the Prime Minister of the country. By the time I walked back in my house, they cut off every single telephone. I couldn't make a telephone call, but I was the only one that could defend Grenada at the time. My friends, I am not saying, and I'm not talking with any hurt, but I'm talking about the system. The system system that we preach, the respect that we have for institutions. If we do not respect our institution, how are we going to tell our children, respect your elders? Nonsense, they can't do this. We as big ones, showing disrespect to the office of Prime Minister. We as big ones, because we don't like the individual. Forget the individual. If you don't like him, don't like him, but like your office, the office of the country. Many times, my friends, and this is about the future. This is indeed about the future. Because if we continue to behave like that, we're going nowhere. So we are saying, done with this. We are saying, my friends, and I'm talking with a passion because it's deep inside here. Our children need examples to follow. And I'm not saying that I am guilty myself. If I made mistakes, then I must also redeem myself. I'm not blaming any one person, I'm not to blame us who are in this country over the years. Friends, I say this, to see this. We have given instructions that all our leaders would be respected. We have said that those who served must be given their due. Whether we like them or not, that's their right. Have served the country. So Tillman Thomas will be respected as a former Prime Minister of Grenada. My friends, therefore, as we look to how we move forward, national unity. We have an excellent team of men and women who are now serving the country. It was a task coming up with a mix of cabinet portfolios because of the skills of all the persons involved. Who to leave out, who to put where. It was not easy. We have a wonderful document that talks about the way forward. I say to read this. We call it our political Bible for the development of Grenada, Caribbean, for the next 5 years. And I say this to you, my friends, because in 2008, when we were in government and campaigned for election, we printed 3,000 manifestos. We were left with 1,000. This time, we printed 15,000 and we did not have enough. So my friends, I say to you, those of you who are interested in ensuring that the NNP meets its commitment to the country, read this and judge us on this document. But my friends, despite a good team and a good plan of action, if we do not unite, we will never achieve the level of success that we wish to have. That's the point I want to make. The unity concept. In other words, we need all forces. I said at the swearing ceremony, when I was sworn as Prime Minister, I said I read the NDC manifesto, back to front, and I saw some serious areas that we can adopt. The point here is, if the NDC presents something good for the country, all of us must take it and use it and give them credit for it. So we will be looking at some of them, and we will engage the leadership, or what is left of the leadership of the National Democratic Congress, because we believe we need them also if we are to have optimal success in the development of our country. My
My friends, on the economic front, I present to you a document that was issued yesterday by the Ministry of Finance. This document talks about the debt stock in the country at this time. When we left government, it was $1.6 billion. Today, it's now $2.3 billion. $700 million increase. That's not my numbers. This is the numbers from the Ministry of Finance. On March 15th, there will be a payment due of $15 million on the international market and several other payments. The Caribbean Development Bank is owed over $20 million, and that's why it was downgraded recently, because Grenada could not pay. The Kuwaiti Fund is owed over $18 million. It must be paid before we can get a cent from them. The local banks, we have passed the overdraft. And therefore we have to bring it down to be able to use the overdraft to pay salaries. We owe $86 million in unpaid claims in the Treasury. These are just the facts. These are just the facts. My friends, so what I'm making is this informs the regional and international community after discussion with the CBB and the regional institution and others in the international community. The Grenada has announced that it will be restructuring its debt. In other words, we will not be able to meet the emergent payment in the next few weeks. So we're seeking the support from our friends regionally and internationally to look at how we can restructure and meet our commitment to them and to the community as a whole. Because we used up the credit of St. Vincent in the ECCB. We used up the credit of St. Lucia in the ECCB. My friends, we cannot go on this path. So this is the document. But my friends, that presents a picture of the problem. But we don't believe that when you ask for a job, all you do is talk about what the others do or what you get. My friends, we believe there are exciting possibilities. Only last week, and this has to be the area of investment and private sector initiative, locally and outside. Because your local investors are the key to your success. Because if they don't move, the others outside won't move. You take a guide from them. This is Forbes magazine. And the announcement here as of last week says that the present developer of Port Louis, Mr. Ajamu, and his investment team has announced a $700 million investment in Grenada. That's not my government. You know, my friends, because they now realize that they have a government now that is serious about investment in business and private sector initiative. My friends, we already received calls from Lewis Hamilton family and say they are coming back to Grenada. CCC, where we lost $46 million and 400 jobs, people thrown off the breadline. We are now working with them on a restructuring plan to pay the debt and to start serious farm roads and feeder roads development road in length and breadth of Grenada, We have had 3 major investors, hotel developers, arrived in the country already, who started initiative in Grenada and gone cold, they are now coming back because they believe in the new direction the country is taking. My friends, don't talk about local investors. I can tell you this. In 30 years in politics, we have never seen the business community as so united in supporting one political organization. And some of them are people that always funded the National Democratic Congress. But because of the climate of investment and the problems created, they have all seriously supported. People aren't aware that we got money in the last campaign. Well, I can tell you this. The monies came from the bellies of the local Grenadian community, my friends, and the regional brothers and sisters. I myself was surprised when some of them came forward and said they wanted to make a contribution because we didn't even ask them. Because we thought they were basically on the other side. And we don't want to be bad beggars. But people recognize they need something new. They're not expecting to be perfect, but they expect to be a massive change. My friends, that means jobs. Because unless you have jobs, you can't really talk about a society. We're talking about a failed society. So we will concentrate jobs, 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 jobs. So I'm heartened by the prospects. It's not going to be overnight. Anyone who expects the NNP can just think will just come from heaven and just fall down and just think it doesn't work so. And that's why they call for national unity, using the best brains of our country to push the developmental thrust. So my friends, the productive sectors, we can't expect to operate agriculture the way we operated in the past. There are serious resources in agriculture, but it must be commercialized. Just before I left home, I called from 5 top members, former top members of the revolution. And in the middle of one, trying to get a cabinet going, they called and said they wanted to see me. I said, "Brother, I'm tired, I'm trying." They said, "Prime Minister, just give us 10 minutes." They came. And they said they want to have a plan for if we could get a couple of estates, government estates that is just out there, unproductive, lease it to them. And they have a serious plan for development of those estates to provide more production, more foreign exchange, and more development for Grenadian Caribbean people. That is music to the ears. In other words, it doesn't matter whether you're from a revolutionary or NNP, GNP, whatever P you are. Come forward if you have an idea to build the country. Let us work together to take Grenada forward. So my friends, the government must invest, and we will invest in labor support for the farmers. Because many of our cocoa estates are in bushes.
Yes.
Cocoa is fetching some of the best prices that ever fetched in the international market, but the production is not as high as it should be. So we have to take full advantage and therefore support the farmers, because one of the biggest problems they have is the question of labor support. You cannot have an agricultural system where a farmer has 15, 20 acres and only have he can get 2 bags of fertilizer. Nonsense. We have to make fertilizers available at a cheaper cost to be able to really get the farmers producing more. And my friends, the marketing mode must be what the PRG intended it to be, a marketing mode, not a commercial entity selling flour and rice and can't provide help to the farmers of the country. And when I make this statement, I'm critical of my own government in the past and the former governments, because we didn't have the guts to do what we have to do in the marketing board. I am saying to you tonight, have that pledge. We will restructure the marketing board, and whatever political price, we will pay for the long-term good of the Grenadian Caribbean people. sectors, we must talk, my friends, about health and education. If you don't have an educated society, you're doomed. The potential in education, ICT, and communication technology, my friends, is indeed enormous. As you know, I led the whole science and technology in the region, and my brothers and sisters have already asked me to please come forward and continue the work that we used to do. The CKLN project will become the hallmark of activity in the entire Caribbean. When we were there, we led the negotiations to get 20 million euros from the European Union to connect all tertiary institutions in the entire Caribbean. Grenada was the head of that headquarters, supposedly so. So the Jamaica College and University, Trinidad, Tobago, Barbados, Grenada, all the national colleges and universities will be hooked up on the system to provide massive educational development programs for the entire Caribbean, my friends. And at the same time, because of that regional approach, we have regional certification. So a man can call himself in Grenada a plumber when he might just be a little pipe fitter. He has to have a certificate to justify calling himself a plumber. So a qualified plumber in Grenada can walk to Barbados because his CSM is supposed to be natural and get a job because he has a certification to justify his interest in that job. So we will propel activity in this area once again. So our young people voted for that kind of hope because they expect us to deliver, and we have no choice but to deliver, otherwise we pay a heavy price. Health, my friends, this is the most crunchy. I can tell you this. I refuse to say what I had to say on health when in opposition. You know why? Because I felt if I say what I knew, what the doctors and the nurses were telling me, that people won't come to Grenada. Because friends, you and I know, even if you're not thinking about the other person, remember, you can get sick anytime. And when you get sick, if there is basic care to stabilize you, you're gone. In other words, you may have your money, you may have your connection, but you're worth nothing if there is an emergency. So even if we're thinking selfishly, we cannot have a hospital system in the way it has been. And what is utterly concerning me, and I'm telling you, that is something we will not be able to tolerate. You cannot buy fencing for the hospital, but you want to build $100 million hospital. I mean, give me a break.
That's right.
My friends, you could have the best building, and if the services are poor, you don't have medication, and your doctors and your nurses are frustrated and treating patients badly because of those frustrations, your healthcare is in trouble. All you will be having is you'll be abandoned people, you'll be daring in a nice building, but you're still there. I want to be alive, not dead. So while we look and work with the St. George University to improve the healthcare and other universities, we have already started discussion. While we look at even expansion of the present facilities, and if someone's nice godfather could provide $100 million hospital for us, we take it too. So if you know a man godfather, you live in America, even if you know any godfather, we go take it. But I know she has a challenge to try to balance the budget in America also, anyhow. So my friends, the productive sectors, we have to increase our challenges there and increase the social area. But sports and culture, I tell the people of St. John's, in the campaign and commitment we've made. Kirani James has made us all proud. But we had a contract signed to build a first-class athletic stadium, and the former minister, when he came in, he said you don't need the athletic stadium. He came in at the right time to stop it. And as soon as Kirani started doing well, he got back to the Chinese and said, I want it again. The Chinese say, well, you said you didn't want it. And therefore, they agree now to take 1,000 houses that were negotiated in addition to the stadium. They gave up that to get the Chinese to agree to go back to the athletic stadium. The Chinese say, yes, we will consider it. 2 years they consider it. The NDC is now out of office. I am telling you this. Jump high, jump low. There will be a first-class athletic stadium in Grenada, Caribbean. And you know why? During the last election campaign, I tell you about an incident. When the Bedford Avenue team was playing in Edson, at that point they were leading the competition, we know the West Indies competition. They were Smith's school century after century. And I got a call from the Bedford Avenue manager, local Sebastian. He said, and that was 3 days before the elections. He said, there are 3 members of our team, and the guys are restless. They want to come to vote. So I said to him, you tell me they want to come to vote, but who to come and vote for? He said, when I tell you the names, then you'll know who to come and vote for. So then he put Devon Smith on the phone, and Devon explained, but he, Neil Pascal, the fast bowler, and Andrew Fletcher, the wicketkeeper batsman, they want to come home to vote, but they need the resources to come, and we have to get them back in time for practice Wednesday morning, so they could just vote and leave. I said, good. So they came in, and while we were having a meeting Sunday night, in tag team, you remember? Some of you might have been there. We got word that they just landed at Point Saline. The 3 Windward Island cricketers, all of them having played cricket for the West Indies, 3 stars. They said they were coming straight to the tag team. I said, well, I don't want them guys to get in trouble, because I don't want people to know that they're in partisan politics. So I said, you can come, but I'm not sure you may want to come on the stage. They say, we coming on the stage, they could fire us if we want. My friends, they entered the stage, and you remember those of you on their pandemonium on the platform and in a crowd of over 20,000. The point I'm making is, why would 3 regional cricketers be so passionate about voting for a political party when at least 1 or 2 of them supported that other party in the past? The disconnect that I'm talking about. In other words, sports and culture will be given tremendous importance by a new national party. My friends, therefore, as I close this afternoon and give you a chance to ask some questions, let me make this final statement to you. My friend, my view, there is a fresh breeze blowing in our land. A breeze of opportunity and hope. Your government has commenced the task of building a new economy. Since assuming office, we have been meeting with investors and prospective investors. Let it be known, home and away, and far and wide, that Grenada is open for business. Let it also be known that Grenada is open for credible and clean business persons. We are interested in projects in infrastructure, including our airports and ports, agribusiness, tourism, energy sector, renewable and non-renewable energy sources, and ICT among others. Over the next few months, several projects will commence aimed at putting our people back to work. my brothers and sisters, the biggest potential for Grenada I did not speak to yet, but let me make this point. At oil and gas, I was presented a document 3 days ago, which shows tremendous potential for oil and gas to the south of Venezuela and the south of Trinidad. My friends, that is exciting for our country. Because the experts tell us from the studies that they've seen and the science, the Academy of Science, both in London and in Russia, have identified them and have the same conclusions. And they say, if we have a large concentration of gas, we sell to Trinidad and they purify it and get a percentage for that. We don't have to create a liquefied plant in Grenada that costs $700 to $800 million. Trinidad and sister brothers have the expertise and the facility, so we use them. If we get oil in large quantities as we expect, then we sell it on the international market. We don't have to produce the oil, the raw product in Grenada that can create possible problems for the environment in our country. And therefore we will not be getting into business with any fly-by-night organization that has serious possibilities as far as the work is concerned in the past, that has protected the environment and done the best for themselves and the countries involved. We are working closely with regional brothers and sisters in that respect. In other words, despite our serious debt problem that we presently have to confront, the point I was making in that speech so far is about possibilities that are exciting, but we need all of us to be on board. So finally, brothers and sisters, I say to you this. We have had a lot of wars in our country. We have had all fights. Who like who and who don't like who. As I say to people, if you don't like him, do like him. Like Grenada and Caribbean and because I say to them, I have a lot of people that like me, so but my friends, I want to say this. We must bury the hatchet. I say to my friends, if I hurt you, forgive me. Because who am I to put myself in the way of the progress of Grenada? We say consistently, God first, country second, party third, and everything else go after this. So my friends, as we begin this new journey, we say to ourselves, let the guiding light be what is best for our little land. Remember that arrogance takes a lot of energy. Humility takes little energy. I say to my brothers and sisters of the victorious NNP, there should be no thumping of the chest. We ain't win nothing. We are about to begin the journey to win something from Grenada, Caribbean, and Market. And that journey can only be completed when the people say that you've done a good job. You weren't perfect, but you did your best. So my friends, tonight I call on all of you. Drop the hatchet. Work together. Think of your land. Love your people. Love yourself. And love Grenada, Caribbean people. Thank you.
Well spoken, son. Well spoken.
want to ask questions? There's something. I just came from Toronto and I had a lot of questions. And not only questions, ideas. Because we said we don't have all the ideas.
Also.
So I would hate to know that we have to leave here without anyone who wished to ask a question was unable to do so. But if it's your wish that we don't have to,
$1 million.
yes, my brother.
Dr. Mitchell, everyone say please.
Let's just give a few minutes, please.
Dr. Mitchell, my name is George. I'm appealing to you tonight as a father, as a husband, and as Prime Minister of Grenada. I don't know if you follow Facebook, but Grenada, there has been a recent campaign on Facebook. Grenada has a serious problem when it comes to women being abused. Dr. Killa, last year, Marshal Chairman of St. David's has her both hands cut off by her boyfriend. In St. Andrews, Andrea Williams was chopped to pieces by her husband. Dr. Mitchell, Marcia Jones was chopped to pieces by her husband in St. David's. Dr. Mitchell, Korea Lagi was chopped up by her ex-boyfriend and put in a garbage bag in St. George's. Dr. Mitchell, last week in St. George's, I don't know if you heard the news of Nisha Langwine, whose face was mutilated by her boyfriend. As a father, as a husband, as the Prime Minister of Grenada, the Caribbean Women Watch named Grenada as one of the 5th countries in the Caribbean where women beating is still the norm of the nation. I am asking you, as a Grenadian, as a father, in your first 100 days in office, to sign into law as the Prime Minister of Grenada that women would no longer be abused, women would no longer be beaten. Grenada, in modern society. And I'm also asking you, if when you return to Grenada, you could meet with this young lady. This is what her ex-boyfriend did to us. This is our sister.
Alright, okay.
If you could meet with her when you go back to Grenada,
let me answer.
And have a news conference with her and say this would not be tolerated. The guy who did this to her was in prison for killing someone at KFC and Jordan. He was released. And I'm just asking, take a pledge here tonight. There's Grenadian people are present and speak to young women in Grenada and say you will not tolerate it. And anyone who beats, abuse a woman in Grenada will go to jail for a long period of time. Thank you, sir.
Brother, and that's not a problem of just today and now. It's been a long-standing problem. And the solution you're talking about is not the solution. It's not passing a law. Because there are laws in the books that protects women and protects people from violence. The problem we have is a society has to become more or less tolerant of that. There are incidents that people know about. And they in fact cover it up. There are cases where the police moves in to deal with the fellow. And you know what happened? The same woman goes and decides that she's not going to go forward because she's afraid she loses a few dollars that he gives her. There's a lot of problems, my friends. So we, as a people, need to educate every one of us. We have to become more aggressive. The police needs more resources. I'm talking about trained personnel to deal with the problems. But the society needs more deeper education on the problems that we face.
Just 1 second. I came from Grenada as a kid. I have two master's degree, a law degree, and a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I am willing to come to Grenada, work for free, to deal with juvenile justice. That is very wrong. To speak to them. And that's what all of that want face fashion to become the norm in Grenada.
No, I'm agreeing with you, and I'm saying we need everybody, and I'm thanking you, but we need a lot more than you. You alone can't solve that problem, but it starts with each one of us, and therefore you start with yourself, and I want to give you credit for this. And the problem is serious, but I assure you that our government will be aggressive in dealing with this. And it's not just the chopping up here. They got a lot of hardback old men destroying our little girl children in Grenada, and some of us know it and covering it up. That's part of the problem. Can I go to this? Okay, let me take somebody else because I think a lot of people want. Brother there.
First of all, Dr. Mitchell, congratulations. But I too would like to echo, because we've had several meetings on the topic of domestic violence throughout the Caribbean, and we have put together a panel through the Grenadian ex-law enforcement. But because Dan talked about he's got 2 master's degrees, we have the resources. We in the diaspora, we have the resources, and all we need is the desire. And hopefully with the cooperation now from the Grenadian government, we can have an impact on economic development, on agriculture. There's several schools, universities here in the state that are willing to share best practices, to come to Grenada to do that. So if you're willing to do that, we can talk about how we can mobilize Grenadians to have that impact. Thank you.
In the interest of time, please be concise with your questions. We press for time.
Very pleasant. Good night, Dr. Mitchell, and to all my fellow Grenadians. My name is Marlon Noel. I hail from St. Paul's in St. George's. I had the privilege of attending Hatfield Secondary School and being spoken to eloquently on many occasions by Dr. Mitchell. And I was mainly taught by Mrs. Mitchell, if not for a rogue teacher, in my opinion, who prevented me from doing science in school. However, I have since gone on to the University of the West Indies and graduated with my bachelor's degree. Went on to the University of Oxford and graduated. Went on to the University of London and graduated with a master's degree. And I know, I understand I should ask a question, I should have say something about myself. Thank you. And now, my job here is cleaning toilets in the hospital. My question is, and I want to speak about abuse, but I think that both previous speakers eloquently alluded to the issues of abuse. I myself was abused as a child, even in the institution in Hatfield Secondary School and in the health sector in Grenada. No one paid any attention to my abuse, both physical and sexual, in there. I will not elaborate on it. I'm in the process of completing my book on that issue and on the broader sociological issues surrounding the issue of abuse. I wish I could get in touch with this man. It's very funny that we're talking about this. It goes to show how deep a problem this situation is. But my question, you alluded to the fact that many graduates are returning from outside of Grenada, educated, but staying at home for 2-3 years, in your words, without having a job. Quite frankly, I'm tired of cleaning toilets in America. I would like to work in Grenada and contribute to my country. What are the structures in place, or the structures that I can expect that your government will be putting in place for people like myself who are educated in the diaspora, but are not contributing to Grenada, so that we can now contribute to develop our country?
The problem is opportunities. And I alluded to that throughout my entire speech. The creation of jobs, the creation of investment, the creation of training that leads to more jobs, the attraction of businesses in agriculture and tourism. That's where your worth will be realized. That is where, when you have economic opportunities, with ICT and the training and the level of opportunity that will come, your skills will be appropriately utilized. But if you have no economy, and you have nothing in the country, and all businessmen gone cold on investment, there is no way that any job will, because the government cannot employ. Take a little look. The level of persons that is needed, that required for in the society. So it's an economic opportunity. That's why I stressed tonight in my entire speech the emerging new economy and the opportunities that will be created.
Good evening to you, Dr. Mitchell. My name is Ajamu Joseph. I'm a gospel singer and I hail from the parish of St. John's. And my question to you tonight is, what are your plans, the government's plans to develop the rural economy? For example, we have a place like St. John's with the fishing industry and all of the businesses in the parish of St. John's. So what are your plans to invest and to develop the economies of the rural parts of our country?
Yeah, my brother, I could spend an evening on this, but let me tell you, if you check the manifesto, they have copies around, and it's online. Well, I'm pretty sure someone will provide information. It's online. www.nnp something can't find it. But it's online. You can get the website. Read the manifesto. I call it the political Bible. You will have all the rural economy, the first 100 days of government, what we will do between now and the first 100 days, what we will do medium term, and what we will do long term. All that is part of the manifesto.
Pleasant evening, Dr. Mitchell and your delegation. Congratulations on your election as Prime Minister once again. And as a fellow ex-presentation college student, I'm also proud of that fact. It's good to be an ex-PBC student tonight. I have 3 questions. I will be brief and succinct with my points. The first question I have relates to returning nationals, as was expressed before. Now, we know that a lot of Grenadian students return, like myself, who might be planning to return home at the completion of our academic studies. In my case, I still have a PhD to complete. But I think one of the issues that when our Grenadian nationals return to Grenada is a cultural attitude. And that cultural attitude is one thing, they take it right, this and that and the other. The point I'm making, Dr. Mitchell, is that if we know that there are needs in Grenada that needs to be filled, that we should have persons studying for those needs. So for example, let us say we have needs in agriculture, in agricultural science, we should have persons going on scholarships to fill those needs. If we need doctors, if we need dentists, if we need environmental scientists, if we need biological engineers, we should have persons so that when someone applies for a scholarship to go and study, we would say to them, look, we will grant you a scholarship, but it will have to be in that particular area. So that when we return to Grenada, the contribution that we'll be making to Grenada will be a scientific one. So that no one will have any reason to be staying at home and complaining that they do not have a job. Okay, that's my first question to you. The second question has to do with the question of renewable energy. Now, our coral reefs and our environmental ecosystem is under threat. And that is a very serious issue, Dr. Mitchell. We talk about tourism, we talk about the benefit that we can derive from tourism, but we are not cognizant of the fact that 40, 50 years from now, Grenada will no longer have coral reefs. So we also have to consider, while oil and gas is also a very good way to consider economic development in the country, we also have to consider renewable energy. What are we going to do about having solar powers manufactured in Grenada? What are we going to do about having wind energy supply from our wind in Grenada? Okay, we have to go into 65 days of sun in Grenada, and I think that is one area that we can focus on. Final question has to do with constitutional reform. I hear people talk about constitutional reform, and we've had a lot of concerns with the National Democratic Congress, and I think we need to have a system like what happens in the United States here. Have a recall mechanism. If I have a problem with you as a politician, there should be a midterm elections in Grenada where I should be able to say, I don't like the job you're doing, you're wasting resources of the country, get out of the way and let someone else serve.
Short, very brief answers. My brother, the first point you raised have been things that have been ventilated over the years through successive governments. Scholarships have been given, I know that for a fact, not just from the NDP government, targeted for those areas of needs in the country. That is, certainly has been done. It has not always been successful because some of the problems emerge after all sorts of activities take place. But I'm just saying that is something we understand and has been ventilated. You talk about, what's the other one? Energy. If you read the document we have, you see a detailed plan for renewable energy, solar energy. In fact, to the credit of the previous government, it has already started. The project negotiated by the previous government, the European Union, talks about a solar plant for Caribbean. Wind energy, also another aspect of energy, renewable energy in the country. So there is ongoing work, and we will deepen that work. Yes, to answer your question, there will be constitutional reform. I can't go into all the details of it. Both the NMP and the NDC agreed before the election that there will be a referendum for constitutional reform on some matters that we both agree with. We agree that we will not put issue before the referendum if both parties do not agree with it, because we believe if we do that, it will fail. Quickly, my brother, quick, because we have to leave the hall.
I know that. Good evening, everybody. I'm a Grenadian, and everybody knows that Mr. Killa. Congratulations.
Thank you.
On that, or should I say, enormous victory. I was in Grenada. The one thing that I want to talk about here is about Grenadians having the ability to get to Grenada. It's called air transportation. Now, as an aircraft technician, I've been sent here with some of my colleagues also in that field. I wanted to meet with you personally, but tonight is just not the night, because all the Grenadians here to listen to you, and everything started late. I've been here since 2 o'clock. Bad information, and then things change. 6 o'clock was supposed to be time, you start 9 and 10. That's the Grenadian people, that's okay. My point is this. I wanted to meet with you, and I would like to meet with the people who are in Grenada that has to deal with this type of field, the air transportation, so we could sit down and come up with some form of a plan that could help Grenadians to get home. I would leave you and tell me what to do from now on.
My brother, let me say this. Even before the elections, as an opposition leader, I've been holding discussions quietly, because I couldn't do it publicly, with some leaders in the region about transport. Expect that you'll hear some announcement not too long from now. They're going to be something like that. And one of the reasons I can tell you this, because I had an experience. I had to go to Trinidad and have a meeting to see a top public official. I'm in opposition. And I asked, called me, I asked for to get a ticket to go to Trinidad. They tell me I have to go to St. Vincent. Then I have to go to Barbados. Then I have to go to Tobago. And I might have to overnight before I get to Trinidad. I say, not me, I ain't going. So I understand the problem the brother is saying. Quickly, my brother, anything? Quickly.
I'm Joe Country.
Joe, my brother.
And I would really like to congratulate you from my heart. A Calypsonian had likened you to be Jonah.
Jonah is back. Jonah is back.
Well, only if the Calypsonian knew that throwing Jonah overboard was not the end of Jonah, he did not have written the Calypsonian.
They didn't really die over.
I would like to find out, after getting thrown overboard in the whale's belly, which one of the shoals in Grenada did the whale land in your arm? I would like to know how was your experience in the whale belly, and what did you do to not go back into the whale?
Got over 200 beds and wheelchairs and tables
presented to Grenada, the hospitals in the hospital, through Mr. Heritage, as since June last year. She has not received a thank you from the government